Does anybody actually remember the last time Obsidian released a genuinely good game? Not just a mid game, not a good on Game Pass game, but an actual good game? Because I don't even think Pepperidge Farm remembers. So I live streamed the Xbox showcase and had some fun with my chat, and they went into the Outer Worlds. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is the funniest game that I think that I have ever seen. Not only do they think that they have something special here, but it looks hilariously mid. This game is basically going to probably come out with a thunderous fart the same way that Avowed did. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, and Avowed was such a great game, then why did all of the reviews that I heard and even comments that I got on this channel about that game say, hey, Avowed's a great game. It gives me something to do while I'm waiting for a better game to come out. In fact, from what I'm to understand, Avowed was really good on Game Pass. But does good on Game Pass mean the same thing? Getting back to it, Obsidian seems to be a darling of the industry. Everybody seems to remember a couple of games that they released that were just critically acclaimed. My personal favorite, KOTOR 2. Some of you may have gone out and played South Park: The Stick of Truth, while others probably played their entry from the Fallout franchise. But all of those games that I listed were kind of a long time ago. You see, The Outer Worlds, a game that a lot of people were excited for because we could see what the company could do with a limited amount of time and working on other people's projects. And The Outer Worlds was really their first outing with their own open world like RPG style game, at least from what I can tell. And it kind of was mid. It was okay. It was all right. I didn't even hear about it until several years later. That could be because I had kids, and at the time I wasn't as tuned into the gaming industry, but it kind of breaks my heart a little bit to see this company that I have held dear since I was a kid just not really reaching the way that they need to. Not only was the trailer just hilariously bad, but I also find it absolutely hilarious that they are making these scathing remarks about capitalism while reports are coming out, like over here on Game Informer, that this is going to be Xbox's fall release at an $80 price point. So remember, everybody, capitalism bad, but $80. Now, a lot of people are talking about how, one, I don't know how you think you're going to get $80 for this. This ain't it. And a lot of people, well, obviously they're just trying to push it over to Game Pass here. Why would that's of course what they're trying to do. They want more people to go over to Game Pass. And I would argue that games over on Game Pass might be good on Game Pass. You know, it's the same argument when it comes to a movie coming out. And everybody says, we need to go to the theaters. We have to go to the theaters and see this. We're going to schedule time out of our busy lives as adult and take our adult money, and we're going to go to the theater and we're going to see this movie because everybody is saying it is that good and you want that theater experience. Versus a lot of movies where people are just like, my friend said it was okay. I'll wait for it on streaming. Well, that's how I feel that Game Pass is. Something being good on Game Pass is the same as somebody say, I'll wait for it on streaming. And then maybe you check it out and, well, maybe you don't. So today in the Xbox Game Showcase, it opened with an in-depth trailer featuring The Outer Worlds 2. Obsidian's big sequel is looking quite strong in the new video. This person has a very, very big difference in the definition of the word strong, which features several new tools and twists we haven't seen yet. We're also treated to a release date of Outer Worlds 2 release on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and X, and PC on October 29th. Over the course of the trailer, we saw the colony of Arcadia is undergoing an invasion, and it appears the story will jump ahead from the beginning of the war to a point nearly 3 years in. Voiceover from villainous CEO Auntie Cleo leans hard into the dark satirical elements that the first game established around the nature of capitalism. I do think it's kind of funny. That they're satirizing capitalism to a point. But again, come on. How are you going to do that and then charge me $80? You see, the fall from grace with a lot of these companies is just so interesting to chronicle. And in addition to that, how are you going to lead your Xbox showcase with a game that with a sequel to a game that was kind of received to mid applause. And if you go, and if you don't believe me, go and look up the reviews. Go and look up the reviews. Most people consider a mid game to be about the high 70s to low 80s in score, or basically a 7.5 to like an 8 on the scale. I would not personally say that's a mid game. I would rate mid games at a 6, but I didn't play them. Why? Because everybody else says that they're mid. Obsidian lately just seems like they're the little engine that tries. Not the little engine that could, because that motherfucker could get the job done. No, the little engine that tries. You know, the little engine that didn't talk to Yoda and figure out that there's do or do not? Because Obsidian just seems to be doing not lately. Like, doing not a good game. And it's kind of interesting. Although I did think that Grounded 2 looked kind of interesting and maybe something that my kids would want to play, and maybe that would be something that I would pick up for them. But it's a strong maybe. When are we going to get that strong, just scrappy development team that used to exist at Obsidian? Well, probably not anymore. I think they've actually had a lot of turnover in the last many years, just like a lot of other companies have. Of course, we're not going to get back to the great times and the great games, and even though as clunky as they were, still those memorable times when we were kids. Maybe Obsidian was always like this, come to think of it, because back in 2004, 2005, when KOTOR 2 released, I was only 13 years old. And maybe I just thought KOTOR 2 was good because of my 13-year-old brain. Now, I could go back and play it if I could find a physical copy of it anywhere, because I really just don't want to play that. That's something that I'd want to get a physical copy of and plop it into my Xbox and play there. But all of this to say, how is Obsidian still making games? How are they still getting funding to do these games? I mean, they must be making some money somewhere, because it seems like they're still releasing stuff, although stuff that I've never heard of. And some of the last things that I've seen that might have been notable was like Pillars of Eternity 2, which I didn't play. I didn't check it out. They have a ton of other games here that I have the list pulled up. Oh, and by the way, I can't actually pull them up on Brave Browser, because if I go to their website and then go to their games, Brave Browser freaks out and it's like, hey, this is an unsupported website. Do not go here. So the fact that Obsidian has a website that doesn't work in all browsers is interesting. Their homepage works, though, which is odd. And I don't know why their homepage would work and their games page, where the list of all of their games, wouldn't. But that's a topic for another time. Overall, as I watched the Outer Worlds 2 trailer, I just kind of laughed. I think one of the first things that I said in the live stream, maybe it wasn't the first thing that I said, but I was like, man, 2009 called and wants their game back, because that's what this game looks like. It looks like Obsidian is, maybe it's just the art style, because a lot of people equated the art style to something tantamount to like BioShock, and I can see that. But again, the way that they're trying to ham up this satirized world and go hard in and the satirical evils of capitalism, while also being the first $80 game that Xbox is going to put out there. That's just wild to me. And everybody goes, well, just get it on Game Pass. It's like, well, yeah, just get it on streaming, right? And they're like, you don't understand. Game Pass people, they get paid. The Obsidian will get paid the longer that you play the game. And it's like, okay, but from what I'm seeing from a lot of people that I follow, it's kind of mid. Kind of mid games don't really have people stick around to the end of the game and get playtime. I don't know if you know this, but YouTubers are also basically paid based off of how long their videos are watched, right? Well, they're kind of paid per view, but the way that you get shared in the algorithm is how long people are watched, and then that actually increases your CPM. There's a little more to it than that, but I happen to be a pretty mid YouTuber, and by mid, I mean that sometimes I get a video that's a banger, and other times I get a video that's not. And that basically means that I kind of see the canary in the coal mine here for Obsidian. They're very relatable to me. Please watch this video till the end. But anyway, I digress. How are they going to release a game like this? Put it at the front of the show. Claim that it's this big and great thing, and Xbox is willing to go all in on it. And not only that, we're going to charge $80 for it on every other platform that's not Xbox, and hope that this game does anything more than the last games did. Maybe they turn a profit a little bit and they're still able to continue on as a studio. Because again, I don't think that they've ever released anything that's been so absolutely terrible that it just demands them to be gotten rid of. And I don't think that they've been financially irresponsible the same way that Ubisoft has been, because, well, that would be in the news all over the place. But at the same time, it just doesn't seem that they have the grit or the tact or really anything that brought some of those favorites to us. And I constantly have to ask myself the question, do I actually like Obsidian, or do I just have fond memories of them from being a child? Because that's kind of an important question, because the older that I get, the more I look back at some games and I go, wow, I enjoyed this. I thought this was good. Some of them I still think are very good. Some of them I do. So, I mean, the original Halo games, absolutely. Not the Master Chief Collection. The original ones, they nerfed a lot of the difficulty in Halo 2, which justifiably so, but story for another time. So, going back into it, Obsidian, why you so mid, bro? I mean, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 just came out and basically told off the industry. Baldur's Gate 3 told off the industry a few years ago. And I'm hoping that this $80 price tag and this good on Game Pass, good on streaming, because that's what it is really going to speak to a lot of these developers. At least the scrappy ones. The ones that actually want to sink their teeth into creativity again. The ones that kind of understand what made some of the all-time games. I'm sorry. South Park Stick of Truth. That's an all-time game to a lot of people. KOTOR 2, I would have to play it again. I would consider it an all-time game. The Fallout game, it was in New Vegas. I never got into the Fallout series. Which, are you a gamer? You didn't get into the Fallout series? Just shut up. I play games. But anyway, I digress. I don't play all the games. It's impossible to play all the games. There's too many of them out there. And that leads to my final point. With the absolute massive amount of games that are being released every year, from indie developers, from these AA guys, and even from the big ones, how in the world do you put out anything that could be even considered mid by the populace and expect to make money? How are you going to do that? The competition is thicker and heavier than it ever has been. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of trash out there. But supposedly the economy is in a bad way and has been in a bad way forever and always. So how are you going to compete with these titles that don't just profoundly speak to people and expect to stay in business? I mean, unless Big Daddy Microsoft is paying you a big paycheck, and I absolutely believe that Big Daddy Microsoft is willing to lose a fair amount of money buying all these studios and trying to get people over to Game Pass. But I think they're going to realize Obsidian ain't it. You want to convert people to Game Pass. Like me, I don't have Game Pass. Don't like Game Pass. Don't want Game Pass, right? If I want to play a game, I figure out how to buy it. Sometimes my friend is actually like, hey, dude, I really like this game. I want you to play it. And he'll buy it for me. Like my buddy hooks me up with a game here and there, which is really nice of him to do. And I greatly appreciate it. Hooked me up with Clair Obscur Expedition 33. But I just don't think this is it. Outer Worlds 2 came out just not swinging. It just doesn't seem like the game that you would want to lead your entire show off with, especially after it's the reception of the first game in 2018, 2019? There's a lot of people that saw the reviews and they were like, nah, I'll hold off. I don't really need to play it right now because of the mid reviews. I would argue Concord will be more remembered than a game like Outer Worlds 2. Because Concord was so bad that you're going to have history lessons on how to not fuck up that bad. But Outer Worlds 2? Meh. Maybe. I might pick it up. It's good on Game Pass. What conversation do you hope to inspire as Obsidian anymore? Because from what I'm seeing, you're not really inspiring a lot of conversation. Well, unless this video pisses some people off, I guess. As always, guys, thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I read all of your comments every single Sunday on my live stream. So if you guys want to see me read your comment and react to that and give you my answer. Leave a comment down below and tune in on Sunday. Be great to see you guys. And as always, until next time, cheers, everybody.